Hi, I'm Natalie D'Adamio. I'm a mixed media artist, intuitive guidance channel, soulful creator, and many other things. In this week's video, I'm just gonna be going a little bit deeper in my studio practice and showing you how I work in a cyclic way, and it's not always like one linear progression for me. I have never really filmed it this way before, so that's interesting and exciting. And I'll try to explain a little bit how I think about it, and I'll be working on various things and also taking you into this just a little layer deeper and like exposing and opening that door so you have an insight of how you could start to, build your own art practice and process. So I thought it would be interesting to film more of the behind the scenes, but because the way I work is in a repetition and kind of sporadic, where I'll move around to other things and maybe let words inspire me in the moment. There's so many different ways that anyone can really turn and tune into their process, and you have to do what works for you. But I'm still doing the 100-day project, and I'm finishing up the tail end in the next 20 days here. So there's these that I'm gonna just be working on. But like I said, I like to go in and out of different states. And that might even mean moving into my sketchbook while I'm in the middle of something. To me, the sketchbook is a way to be in conversation with what we're creating. I don't see it as a separation. And that's important in my understanding of my practice. I noticed in the past, I was thinking about what's in here couldn't be in there, and then that confused me. I think there's something about a lot of times people want this part to be private, which I understand, but there's something about the exposure of it that I enjoy. And then when I think about that idea about exposing it and then bring it into this work, you can even see this mark in this. See, there is a direct connection, is what I want to say. And that's how I use the sketchbook. Of course, it is more of a place to experiment, but to me, it's all one big experiment. I just don't see it as separate, I think, is the main, that's changed everything for me, in the way I just come to understand my own practice and process. So then, there's a transference that can happen when we allow ourselves the opportunity to just create the conversations, right? And so then when we give ourselves the opportunity to really let go, in here we can also then in turn transfer that experience onto a work. And you know, it might not always be immediate, and that's why there's an importance of having a lot of ideas going on and having multiple ways to express it. But you know, at the same time, you are building the relationship to your process and your own understanding of like these marks. And and what I noticed is it's all singing and going together eventually, but sometimes it might not make sense. But that's where we get like mystery and surprise, you know. And we kind of we don't always want all the answers, right? Well, sometimes we think we do, but it's more about like in the actual showing up to the moment, having the conversation, whether it's in art or life, instead of just like thinking about it, right? Or hoping or whatever. Or like even sometimes, you know, when you're giving yourself the opportunity to create the relationship, you're going to have a dialogue. The dialogue is going to start to unfold naturally from yourself. Of course, there's all kinds of things to consider. But to me, like, I always want to be experimenting, exploring, and expressing, like, what is inside of me, and that could look different on any given day. And I just want to allow myself the opportunity to like unfold into the moment. And that like it is different because, for instance, yesterday I was feeling very emotionally distraught almost. Lots of things happened, and today I'm not feeling that at all, you know. So it's important to notice that during the day into the work, because that can also inform a direction as well. Especially if you are looking for that emotionality and that release. It's going to be different, right? I always say that. This is just a paper towel I like to sometimes take the brush away. And if I don't use a paper towel, maybe I'll use the old book pages, which they eventually make their own collage papers on themselves. Like, I will sit down and make the papers, but I love the happenstance of a moment. it's not really in my control, but then it still is informing me. So that's kind of like an abstract way of thinking, right? So I'm just playing on this layer. And what will happen is I'll get like bored, or I'll feel the energy drop off from this moment, and then I like want to switch out and have like another experience in the process. Sometimes it's like not really what I wanted to do. Like I wasn't sure about that. But then it happens anyway. I think it's like you don't really know until you know. But there can be like a lot of hesitation when we move back into something or try to re-engage. Especially if we are like getting lost in the conversation, or we're trying to keep what was there, but in essence it's always changing. And I kind of like to work in a couple kinds of ways, like in this layered way. But then sometimes just in a more simplistic way. There's something exciting about kind of leaving it a little exposed. And like with less layers. Really learn to trust myself more in the moment. Kind of just going with the feeling and the emotionality and the energy, which is really important for me. And then letting whatever wants to come out, come out. Sometimes the word will come out, but I won't like force it. It's kind of like siphoning the memory. Lately I've been letting it be a little bit more, it's not always happy, but it's just a moment though. Like, we could have so many experiences, right? And sometimes we need to express the unpleasant ones just as much as we need to express the good ones. Because like that helps us learn and like grow and heal. And it's better, ooh, whoops, I didn't want to do that. It's like better to like let it out than to keep it inside. Ooh, see? Nice. At least that's what I've been finding, And there's like different abstract ways to like let it out, so we don't always have to have the conversation, right? If we don't want to. But then sometimes what I've noticed over time is the more I allow myself to go here, then I can create the conversation. So it gives me that, it's kind of like a two-way street, an experience. And that's what I'm really interested in speaking into and teaching about more and more, is how these direct reflections happen, and how we can engage the creative process in all kinds of ways. But for me, this one I'm gonna call done for now. And so sometimes I might just start free writing. I've been moving through some challenging waters, emotional waters of life. And the art making has been helping me. But I notice sometimes I've been locked up with the words, just because it's been so challenging for me. I'm finally coming out of it, but it's taken a long while. So sometimes to like start to write when we've been locked up, or we're gonna touch into like a fear or an insecurity or a wound, or that's why you can like write in a journal, right? And you don't have to show anyone. But the idea behind touching that raw emotion is what I'm trying to do in the artworks. And so I also do it with words, and I'm finally becoming more free. Okay, so that's not always easy to do, right? Just admit or tune into what's going on. So it's like all the times you said I want to help you through, lost beneath the surface, my heart aches. So that can be like this interplay in the studio time, we could, well, sometimes I rip up these thoughts because I don't always want to keep them, but I like allowed myself the opportunity to get it out. Or, you could always paint over it, but actually this one I kind of like, so I'll keep it around for a little bit. But we can take that idea, that what we just said, and I'm kind of leaning in more to like my heart aches, and like the other thing is, like, you could start to breathe into the spaces in the body, and then like, work from that place. Now, the one thing I want to say is, well, you can always trust yourself to go as far as you want to go. But sometimes what's going to happen in this process when we like turn to face ourselves, it may be challenging. So you don't want to go to like a, really deep unless you know you're able to handle it. Because it sometimes can elicit, dredge up too much. But I'm really a believer, and I experienced this enough over life, is that we can really find ourselves again after we've been lost through a process. And when we apply it to the art making process, well, you're going to have the release, and there's going to be a transformation that comes, in that process. And this is a great way to like heal, because we don't have to have the whole conversation. We might feel the anger and the rage and the shame and the guilt and the fear, but what happens is it gets transmuted through these colors, lines, shapes, and forms, and sometimes words, right? So we can make a creative expression of a poetic, soulful investigation of color and words, and that's exciting to me, because I've seen many times in my life, where well, there is a benefit to it, is what I'm saying. There is a way to transform the pain and actually use the emotionality and not turn away. If you're like, are interested in that kind of thing. I think we have different relationships to how we came to our artworks, right? Not everyone's gonna have the same understanding or even care about it. But if you do, and if it sounds interesting, then it's just another tool to investigate, that deeper understanding. And a lot of times that's where my freedom is coming from. It's coming from the emotionality and the energy, and sometimes even conjuring a memory, and like giving it space to breathe, And then in turn, all of that becomes a new conversation, and it creates a voice by itself, which that's really exciting, because we can really transform. And that means if we're not turning anything away, we could get curious about like maybe what a bad day is teaching us, or a particular time in our life, and can kind of have, I just keep saying have a new conversation, because it gives us so much insight into ourselves in the process when we allow ourselves to surface through, the color, line, shape, and form, and mark making. And that's exciting. I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes look to my art practice and process, and a little bit deeper dive into the cyclic nature of how it is for me on any given day. And it looks different. So if you're new here, welcome, and remember to subscribe, please. That helps my channel. If you want to be on my email newsletter when you subscribe to it, there's a link in the comments below. There's a PDF of several questions and a link to a private meditation where we really can work with our energy and emotions. I'm really interested in that. And sharing more of that going forward, and I will have some classes coming out in the next couple of months here. They're like a la carte classes, so you'll be notified for that too by signing up for the newsletter. And let me know too in the comments below, what are you interested in and what is exciting for you, or what are some of your blocks even. That would be helpful, so I can start to build a channel with you in mind, because it is a two-way, conversation. I have ideas, but it would be great to hear from you. Thanks for being here.